Hey everyone, it's June 23rd, and that means that if today's your birthday, you share it with suspected serial killer Thomas Edward Luther, who likely killed at least 9 women beginning in the 1970s. And that is him right up there. Luther was born in 1957, the oldest of 5 children, to a gas company employee and nurse's aide in Vermont. He was subject to frequent beatings from his mother, having his head slammed against the stove at the age of 4. To cope, he began drinking at just 9 years old, doing drugs and having sex with his aunt at the age of 12, and left home at 17 when his father died. Luther hated his mother, and all of his alleged victims looked like her, petite with dark hair. In 1982, Luther was living in Colorado, and he picked up a hitchhiker. Hours later, she turned up beaten and bloody, banging on the door of a home, begging for help. Luther had sexually assaulted and beaten her with a claw hammer. With blood all over his truck and scratches on his face, he was easy to track down. After a guilty plea to the rape and beating of his victim, Luther was sentenced to 15 years behind bars, where he often boasted to other prisoners that he had killed multiple women. He told them that the next time he killed a woman, he would hide her body so well she would never be found. While incarcerated, he wooed a nurse in the infirmary. When he was paroled in 1993, she left her husband to be with him. Luther was under frequent surveillance after his release because detectives thought he was responsible for 2 murders in 1982, and he harbored a deep resentment of the authorities. He made frequent threats to his girlfriend about wanting to kill the family of a detective to teach him a lesson. 2 years after his release, Luther was tied to a decomposing corpse that had been buried in a shallow grave and covered with rocks on a trail near his home in Colorado. The dead woman had been sexually assaulted, beaten, and shot, but was so decomposed not much physical evidence could be found. And by the time the body was discovered, Luther was serving a sentence for a rape in West Virginia. He was extradited from West Virginia to Colorado and tried for murder, as well as an attempted murder when another victim came forward after recognizing his mugshot when it was printed in the paper. Luther was convicted and sentenced to 98 years in prison, and now investigators believe that he was responsible for another 8 murders of women who had a similar profile and turned up dead in Colorado, West Virginia, Pennsylvania, and his home state of Vermont dating back to the 1970s. He had been seen in the area where each had been abducted, and in some cases was even photographed with the victims. All bore a resemblance to Luther's mother, were sexually assaulted, and had been beaten before being shot in the head and left in the wilderness. Unless he confesses, we'll probably never know for sure exactly how many murders Luther is guilty of. If this is your birthday, I hope you have a great day. Leave me a comment so I can wish you a happy birthday. If you know someone whose birthday it is today, send them this video so they can find out all about their birthday twin. And to Thomas Edward Luther, I say, happy birthday, you bastard.